Okay, part one of the Jennifer Aniston series. I don't know why. I mean, I have an idea why I always cry when I talk about her story. I think it's because I'm an incredible mommy's girl, but I'm going to do my best not to be emotional. We'll get into that later, but let's start with Jennifer Aniston's life. Okay, cool. So, Jennifer Aniston was born in Sherman Oaks, California. She's very much a California girl, I feel, but I did not know that she grew up in New York. Her dad was an extremely famous person in the daytime soap opera world. He was in Days of Our Lives for a very long time. And her mother, Nancy, was also an actress, but not a successful one. She was also a model when she was younger, okay? Jennifer Aniston, in many interviews, says that she never felt pretty growing up. She never thought she was a pretty girl growing up. She says that her mother would tell her, like, you know that you're not a pretty girl. You know that your nose is too big. You know that you're not going to be an actress. You're not pretty enough to be an actress, you know? Or, honey, go put your face on. Honey, you're not going to go out like that. You know what I mean? We all know those moms. Weirdly, it reminds me of the mom. Come on. Weirdly, it reminds me of the character that she plays in the Netflix movie Dumplin', which I love because I'm a Dolly Parton girl. But back to the story. Jennifer Aniston went to the LaGuardia Performing Arts High School in New York. It's an extremely famous high school. A lot of famous people today went there. Nicki Minaj went there. Timothée Chalamet went there. Chaz, Cher's son, went there. Jennifer Aniston went there. Adrian Brody, Michael Che, Robert De Niro was there for a while. You get the point, okay? So big deal, cool school, a lot of talent. After high school, she stayed in New York and she started doing like waitressing jobs, and she was a bike messenger. Whenever I think of a bike messenger, I think of Spider-Man. Very scary, very spooky. I'm not good with directions. I could never do that. Props to you. But she started immediately doing like off-Broadway shows and apparently started working pretty much immediately. She landed the movie Leprechaun. I watched Leprechaun as a kid. It terrified the shit out of me, but I don't think I would ever think like, wow, what an incredible film. But people thought this was going to be like her breakout role. Now it's probably, no, she confirmed it's a big regret of hers, and it's kind of like a cringy thing to watch. Like, please go read about it. I cannot believe they thought it was going to be like this smash hit, okay? And then she was like in a bunch of very quickly canceled TV shows. Okay, it's not, no. She auditioned for SNL and got in. She was supposed to be one of the cast members for SNL. But she said, nay, let me do Friends. Smart move, but I did not know that. Okay, part two of the Jennifer Aniston series. So I think there's something, what I just said in part one is that a lot of people didn't know. I mean, I certainly didn't know, and I live on the freaking internet. That Jennifer Aniston auditioned for SNL and got in, was supposed to be one of the cast members, and declined to be on Friends. And like I said in part one, obviously smart move. She became extremely successful. I mean, if you watch Friends, you know. I think it's also because the writing is funny, but like Jennifer Aniston is a funny person. Like everybody, I read so much. Anything that's ever been written about Jennifer Aniston, I was in it, okay? Like with the monocle, like the guy who's stitching Woody back up. You know what I mean? Like like I was reading everything, all right? And they all said Jenny, I called her Jenny, like I'm one of her friends. Jennifer is like one of the funniest, naturally funny people ever. They said that she has like a genius comedic timing. Also, Jennifer was supposed to be Monica and Courtney Cox was supposed to be Rachel, but they were like, no, let's switch. I can't even fathom Jennifer Aniston being Monica. What? Okay, I'm sorry. I can't talk about Friends and not say that Friends is a white version of Living Single. I don't know if you've ever seen Living Single, but it just has to be said. That is, as time goes on, it becomes more and more incredibly obvious. But let's get back to Jennifer Aniston. Sorry, I just had to. So obviously, Jennifer becomes very, very famous because of Friends, right? I mean, if you were alive back then and were able to retain memory, you know that this haircut was everywhere. I tried to get that haircut. I went to Supercuts on Miracle Mile in Coral Gables and asked for that haircut. And the woman told me she knew what she was doing. The woman did not. Exactly. Jennifer said many times that her hairstylist, Chris, messed up. It was a mistake. And he tried to like fix it by giving her all these choppy layers, but she has extremely like curly hair. So she's like, when I wasn't on set, I just had this like mop, you know, it's like a million different layers. It was like this crazy curly thing. I found that out for myself as well, Jennifer. I'm also gonna say this. Reportedly, Jennifer Aniston and David Schwimmer, Ross, I'm just gonna say Ross, had feelings for each other, but they were both in relationships, her with Brad and him with whatever. Oh, Mike, no, he was with Natalie Imbruglia from Torn. The song, I know you're a little late, this is how I feel. That's who he was with. Where was that stored in my mind? But apparently they had feelings for each other and they were like, no, let's be respectful. Keisha Cole, I should have cheated. Keisha! Part 3 is coming up now. All right. Part 3, Jennifer Aniston series. Let's get into it. So she's killing it on Friends, right? She's Rachel Green. She's absolutely, like, they are mega stars at this point. Friends is on the cover of Rolling Stone. Rolling Stone is for music. They were major, okay? But according to the Guinness World Records, they garnered, I've always wanted to say that, they garnered $1 million per episode, highest paid TV actors ever. And what I love about that is that they said they approached the team at NBC together as a group. And they were like, we either all get the same pay or we are all walking out together. They had this agreement that no one was going to be paid less, which was a big deal because of the gender pay gap in Hollywood. However, the highest paid actor on Friends was Courtney Cox because she was like the star that they brought on to Friends because she was like in a Bruce Springsteen video and a Tampax commercial, maybe something else, but that's what I remember. Okay, I have to say this. Every single article, every blog post, every comment, every blurb I read about Jennifer Aniston said that she's the kindest person in Hollywood. Like she's a girl's girl. Everybody from like actors to crew, producers said that Jennifer Aniston is the girl that you call and she shows up. And I'm not just talking about in the 90s. I mean like till 2021. And I have to say this because I said it in another video. I really admire that because if you have been betrayed in any capacity before, you know that something is like taken from you as a woman. And I think a lot of that is this like new paranoia, and you can no longer appreciate the women around you or in your community, in your friend groups, because this comparison game is now all over. And we're not famous people. You know, we're not being compared 24/7 via tabloids and have like shirts saying you versus them, you know, but it's you meet somebody and you're like, would he like her? Is she his type? Especially if you decide to stay and work it out, right? Like it's this new, you miss out on friendships because you're so, it's like a bitterness and a nervousness. And according to everything I read, I didn't see any kind of, she apparently never had a bad day on set. Like she was just like a pleasure to be around. And something else that kind of kills me is when she met Angelina Jolie before Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and I'll talk about that in the next part. Okay, part 4, Jennifer Aniston series. Okay, so Jennifer reportedly said many times that Angelina definitely had a reputation about her, but Jennifer chose to give her the benefit of the doubt, especially because she said the thought of Brad cheating on her never crossed her mind. Especially like in the media, like Brad Pitt was known as a good guy, as this guy. What's happening? Anyways, so Brad Pitt was known as this like good guy that was like madly in love with his wife. They were everywhere together. So reportedly, Jennifer Aniston ran into Angelina Jolie on a studio lot, and she pulled over and said, you know, like, Angelina, I'm Jennifer. Brad is so excited to be working with you. It seems like so much fun. I hope you guys have a blast. Later on, of course, you know, like Brad and Angelina said it was pretty much like love at first sight. And Angelina said, and many interviews, they show their kids that movie and it's like, look how mommy and daddy fell in love. She was just obviously really kind, and she was blindsided, is what I gather. And like I said, like people have gone on the record and been like, Angelina Jolie is not a girl's girl, and you know, like her life is very different from Jennifer's, and people are different people. And you know what? Sometimes people fall in love. And Brad and Angelina had children, and God bless them, you know, like everybody is here. Life humbles you, and my mom always says, like, life teaches you the lessons that you need to learn. Never worry about, you know, teaching somebody a lesson. Life will do it for them. But I just feel sad for her, because they really fucked her over. They really fucked her over. Like I said, if you've been betrayed in any capacity, I think you know that you're the bad guy here and that you've been hurt. But the idea of being pitied, like, I'd rather fucking die. You know, like the idea of people feeling sorry for me, or the idea that people knew and I look stupid, really kills me. And another thing is that she's really, really talented and she's really funny. But for a long time, maybe even today, even when you see Jennifer Aniston, you think of Friends and Brad and Angelina, not the hard work and talent that she has naturally and put a lot of effort into. Okay, part 5, Jennifer Aniston series. So she goes on to do movies after Friends. She did, like we talked about in the Brangelina series, after Friends, she was supposed to fly out and meet Brad Pitt for Mr. and Mrs. Smith and stay with him, and they were going to travel for a while and then try to have kids, but obviously that didn't happen. She started doing movies like The Switch, Marley and Me, The Breakup, which must have been a little weird because Vince Vaughn was in Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and then they started dating. So she also dated John Mayer for a bit, and then finally she is in Wanderlust, where she becomes very close to her soon-to-be husband, Justin Theroux. Okay, but let me tell you something. That's not where they met. I thought that's where they met. That's not where Justin and Jennifer met. They met on the set of Tropic Thunder because Justin wrote it. Have you seen Tropic Thunder? That's one of the funniest movies. There are only 3 movies where I was watching and I was holding my little pee-pee so I wouldn't pee-pee in the theater. Superbad, This Is the End, and Tropic Thunder. Robert Downey Jr. is actually a really good mutual friend of theirs. So Justin Theroux was very much like a New York dude, and people are like, oh, well, you know, Jennifer, she's so California. We forget that she was raised in New York. You know, she's a little gritty too. She's a little edgy too, my Jennifer. So when they eventually divorced in 2017, people who had been reporting pop culture for years were blindsided. Nobody saw it coming. In fact, someone from Architectural Digest just did a story on their house. And he said that she was talking about how in love, like it seemed fine. However, it seemed that, that Justin Theroux seemed to have his like own wing of the house, his own bathroom, his own bedroom. But they were like, oh, she seems so happy that it's just like, maybe it's just like a non-traditional thing that they do. Maybe they enjoy each other's space. If my hair gets into my lip gloss one more time. Later on, we learned that Justin is somebody who lived happily, kind of being anonymous, you know, like being in the background, where Jennifer Aniston was very established and had a lot of paparazzi attention on her, and he just couldn't handle the attention. Every time I hear that, I'm like, I've never experienced it, but I want to be like, ugh. You know? He also wanted to be New York based, and she was very much LA based, so that was like a conflict. Part 6, Jennifer Aniston. Part 6, Jennifer Aniston. So her and Justin divorced. Apparently, they remain great friends to this day. We're going to get into that in a second. Okay, so he wanted to be more New York based. And she very much already established in LA, and that's where her work is, that's where her home is, and that's where she'd been for a very, very long time. Like I'd mentioned before, he very much liked this anonymous life of his. And I kind of understand why New York would be better if you want to be somebody maybe successful and well-known, but still anonymous. I don't know if you know that Sarah Jessica Parker quote where she's like, New Yorkers, when they think you're famous or they think they recognize you, they won't say it, they'll like ask you for directions. And while you're talking, they look at you like, So I understand that. Do I like it? No. But do I understand it? Sure. So I have to admit, while making this video, we all know, Jennifer Aniston is okay and she's wildly successful and she's very much a household name. There's nobody, that's how I feel about famous people. Like in an entire football stadium or when I'm like at a basketball game, I'm like, wow, every single person here knows who Britney Spears is. Every single person here knows who Beyonce is. Every single person here knows who Jennifer Aniston is, right? But I can't help but think through all of these things that she went through, career changes and struggles and personal struggles and divorces, she didn't have her mom. The things that her mom said to her when she was young affected her so deeply that they didn't speak for years. She wasn't invited to her wedding to Justin. To having somebody constantly tell you what's wrong with you said that it created such deep wounds for her. She passed away May 25th, 2016, and Jennifer went to go visit her on May 15th after not seeing her for a decade. Went to go see her because she heard her mother was having a series of strokes days before her mother passed away. And she says in reports now that she's forgiven her because she realizes that her mom, doesn't make me want to cry. She realizes that her mom was just doing her best. And that's how her mom knew how to show her love. And she was, that's how she knew how to be a mom. It just affects me because I am so close to my mom and I cannot imagine not telling her what I ate for lunch, And there are so many parents who have passed that would give anything to be with their kids. But there are parents here on earth that just refuse to hear their kids out or be there for their children in a way that they need or understand where they're coming from, and they rather live separately. And I think that is so hard and something I can't understand.